Hello, my name is Gary Machuda, and welcome back to our series, Is the Deuterocanon Scripture? In the past episode, we investigated the evidentiary value of quotations. We saw that the mere presence or absence of a quotation tells us very little about a book's inspired status. And in this episode, we're going to address an issue that's frequently brought up, namely, whether or not the New Testament actually uses the Deuterocanon. Historically, Protestantism has always recognized that the New Testament does in fact use, allude to, and reference the Deuterocanon. Indeed, many of the earliest English Protestant Bibles not only included the Deuterocanon in an appendix marked Apocrypha, but they also contain cross-references in the New Testament referring the Protestant reader back to the so-called Apocrypha. And even among the so-called apocryphal books, there were also cross-references from them back to the New Testament as well. This indicates that early Protestants believed that the Deuterocanon was in some way at work in the New Testament, and that the Protestant Bible reader would benefit from seeing this background. For example, the 1611 edition of the King James Bible included the Deuterocanon in an appendix marked Apocrypha, and it also contained cross-references from the New Testament to the Old, and from the so-called Apocrypha to the New Testament. The same is true with the first editions of the Geneva Bible. These cross-references remained in print in these Protestant Bibles as long as the so-called Apocrypha was there. Once the appendix was removed, so were the cross-references as well. Once removed, memory of the former place the Deuterocanon had within the New Testament quickly began to vanish. In fact, it led some Protestants even to deny outright of any reference or allusion to the Deuterocanon in the New Testament. Indeed, many Protestants had forgotten that the so-called Apocrypha ever was in any Protestant Bibles. In the 1940s, the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls changed all this. Suddenly, Protestants had become awakened and interested in the so-called intertestamental literature of the Bible. That is the literature that's written between the end of the Protestant Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament. Today, Protestant scholars, by and large, concede that the Deuterocanon is indeed, in some way, at work in the New Testament. However, despite this change, the legend of the New Testament being completely absent of any contact with the Deuterocanon lingers on. Or indeed, the legend has changed a bit, denying that there's any such points of contact, allusions, references, and so on in the New Testament. Protestants today rather just raise the bar of credulity to insist that the Deuterocanon is never explicitly quoted in the New Testament. Of course, no one, Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, whoever, has ever said that there was an explicit quotation in the New Testament. But as we have seen in the previous episode, the presence or absence of a quotation really tells us very little to nothing about a work's inspired status. Indeed, as we mentioned earlier, there are several books of the Protocanon that are found in Jewish and Protestant Bibles, as well as Catholic and Orthodox. that are never explicitly quoted in the New Testament. Indeed, they're not even alluded to. Books such as Ecclesiastes and Song of Songs and Esther. To make the statement, therefore, that the New Testament never explicitly quotes from the Deuterocanon is really stating something that's true, but it misses the point. The point is, since the Deuterocanon is indeed at work in the New Testament, does its usage, how it's used, does that tell us anything in regards to its inspired or uninspired status? Now, identifying allusions and things of that nature can be rather subjective. And in order to avoid reading into the New Testament deuterocanonical references or allusions and such, we will restrict our inquiry only to New Testament texts that have received a cross-reference in one of the earliest English Protestant Bibles. That way, we are simply reaffirming what early Protestants had recognized in the New Testament. In our next episode, we'll look at one such cross-reference and see how its use tells us something about its inspired status. My name's Gary Machuda, and thank you for watching this video.